Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the next episode of the What Topic podcast with your hosts, Josh Deakin at Mr. Josh Deakin.
And Owen Burkett at Owen.Burkett.
Yes, and welcome back after our ginormous big gambit, really, of an episode for Halloween. We hope you enjoyed our nearly 1 hour and 50-minute episode. I'll say it definitely weared us out, though, didn't it?
Yeah, well, it just kind of just spewed out to being a lot more than I anticipated, and it was good fun. Like it turned out to be like there was a lot more to talk about than I think we all anticipated. So it was just kind of insightful, and it was sort of like I kind of forgot how much I really appreciated it and how much I really adore talking about it. So yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, it was honestly like a really wholesome episode. And also, we got to like really kind of chat basically about the many different kind of things out there in the horror genre. And then obviously you've got your psychological stuff, bits and bobs like that. They always really kind of add to the experience.
I kind of wanted to add just a bit more than just talking about horror films. It's adding a bit more in depth, like saying why do we enjoy these and what stems from it, etc. So
exactly.
Yeah, it was just something a lot more sort of insightful in depth than just taking it on a shallow on a surface value.
Well, that's it, really, isn't it? Like sometimes, like with this podcast, I think we have like times where we'll go a bit more in depth, and sometimes we'll have we'll hold back. Like you'll notice that our consistency of episode length is definitely it goes quite high and then it goes quite low. Like sometimes we've had episodes that are like only 45, 50 minutes, and like even those episodes really do pack a good punch. Like really, it's like, you could kind of say it like, the time length really doesn't kind of give you the full picture sometimes of an episode. Like you might see an episode be like an hour and 30 minutes and it might be like 3 topics, but like the topics are just like very juicy to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's actually quite nice to be kind of open. Like there's only so much we can talk about, and that's all there needs to be to talk about. And sometimes it just needs to elaborate on certain things. So yeah, like it's an interesting one, like how we structured our podcast, and if there's anything to talk about in a very expansive sort of degree.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd say because of the one of the things that we've been doing recently is we started obviously doing the podcast on a Friday release, but we've kind of like weaned away from a Friday down to a Sunday, and it's weird because like I never envisioned a podcast release on a Sunday, but like really it kind of like gives you like something different to listen to on a Sunday night, because like like I mean I'm not like kind of like harping to the old days or anything, but like some people used to listen to radio shows back in like the old days, like like in like the the 40s, 50s and 60s, like on a Sunday night, like for many years Top Gear was a Sunday night staple. Like obviously it's dropped off many times since then. Like I mean Top Gear's still technically on a Sunday at the minute. Well, it's finished recently,
but it's not it wasn't as popular as it was with Jeremy Clarkson and Brian May and everyone else. So yeah,
Brian May
I'm thinking of his last name is May, isn't it?
James May. I was going to say James May. Right. Yeah. You can tell you're not you can tell you're not a Top Gear loyalist.
Yeah, of course not. No, and I always get mixed up with Brian May and James May. I know there's the last name, but it's like if only Brian.
I mean, one looks like a cocker spaniel, and one one's got
a PhD. I don't know if James May has a PhD, but
he owns a pub.
Yeah, he has a pub.
a PhD, a pub, pub for having drinks.
Exactly.
PhD. Okay, maybe I didn't get that right, but yeah. Anyway, that's not the point. So
anyway,
as we say, like it's been a little bit since our last episode. We did take a week break. I think we did say earlier on, but we just kind of felt like we needed it. Like I said to Owen, I said like we could probably go for a week away, like have like a little podcast holiday, and you was like, yeah, and it was nice because
to be honest,
we could catch up on the rest of the news.
Yeah, just as well because a lot of things have happened like since then.
Gosh, yeah.
So yeah, so we're gonna we're gonna talk about various things. So obviously, we're going to talk about obviously with Sean Connery's history and life because as most of you know that he passed away on October 31st of this year and at the age of 89 was it? Like I think it was.
I'm sure he died at the age of 90.
90. Okay, yeah, like it's about 89, 90. But yeah, so we're going to talk about a bit his history and his career and everything. And also, I'm pretty sure everyone else in the world has known about this, but Joe Biden it will be the 46th president of the United States of America. So Trump has lost the election. So
It's funny actually. Something to include in that. I was watching the Late Late Show with James Corden, some of the clips from it earlier on, and one of the funny things was that they said apparently that Donald Trump isn't trying to stand in the way of the election, like going to Biden, even though Biden's won, and apparently he's hardly doing any work in the White House right now. He's not signed
no,
anything new recently.
yeah. I've heard. Apparently, he's been spending most of his time watching the television more than he usually does, and just tweeting,
It's
BS
weird because
like conspiracy theories.
apparently his mood versus his tweets are very different.
Oh yeah, like that. What they used to be was he used to when he was president, and then obviously, and then before becoming president, all he was doing was just shit talking to a lot of people, telling people they're losers and this and that. Now it's just he doesn't really do that anymore. He's just now trying to say, it's rigged, photo fraud. And everything, and the whole Trump administration is trying to uh, basically they're trying to go to court to say there's photo fraud, even though each and every single case has been dismissed.
Exactly.
Like there's no evidence of that, and like even one lawyer, I can't remember which state it's in, but even one lawyer was like because they were complaining that they didn't have any observers at one of the at the voting booths, not voting booths, but the buildings where people go to vote.
Mm.
And then they asked him like, were any Republican observers at that building? And they said yeah, and the lawyer went, I'm sorry, but what's the problem?
Yeah, pretty shit.
And so it's pretty much like every single like thing they did try to do is just failing. It is, and now recently Arizona has voted for Biden, so that's turned to a blue state.
Yeah, I heard about
so
that. There was apparently the Trump administration were trying to argue 14,000 votes, right? Even though that's such a
something
margin.
something like that. But yeah, like it's like apparently they wanted like I think it was like 17,000 or 14,000 or something like that. But I was like, well, even if you did get those votes, like you still lost the state. So it's like, what is there to do? So now it's like he's got North Carolina and another state I can't remember. I think it's Georgia.
Yeah,
I think it's just those two. It's just those two states are left, and from the looks of it, it seems to go blue as well, or at least one blue, one red. But even if he gets a state, he's still lost.
Yeah.
And at this rate, he should do what Hillary Clinton should do: is just concede. But obviously, look who we're talking about here. Like this is a guy who's been telling people they're losers, but he can't, accept the fact he is one himself.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like he could do the noble thing and move aside, and he'd have a better legacy. Because literally, that's what literally that is the words of what Biden said. Like you're going to spoil your legacy, essentially.
Exactly, but to be honest, like when I heard that, I was like, to be honest, he's already ruined his legacy for being an absolute dick.
The thing
Like,
is, I have to appreciate what Biden said because
yeah,
he could continue to be an arse if he wanted to be because Trump's been just as much an arse to him, but he's been impartial, which is really nice.
Yeah, well, you kind of have to. You have to show that you're the better person, despite the fact.
Yeah.
Even if you win, you could make the excuse saying, "Well, I've won, so I could say whatever I want." But that's not the case. Like, you shouldn't really do that. You should keep showing that. There's like the one of the news anchors in CNN who broke down that just saying that character matters, and he really needs to show that. And obviously, Kamala Harris is showing that as well. And right now, like he's right. I can't remember the co-host's name, but he really is right that saying that this election is proving that character matters because I think 2016 was a really sort of odd time, because obviously we had the Brexit thing, and then later on, Trump won against Hillary Clinton,
Mm.
and now we have seen Trump become president, and then I think a lot of us, like even people outside of America, were like, please don't re-elect him. Like another 4 years would just mean like the worst thing that could possibly happen. And it really has now shown that because of his tackling with the coronavirus and obviously with systematic racism and his treatment with Puerto Rico and it was obviously his devil is dabbling with the like with Russia and everything. Like he's an absolute he's a wannabe fascist dictator, and he's an absolute con. He's always been a con with his real estate and his scams and his university scams and everything else that he's been involved in.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And it was only just saying to ourselves, like, thank God, like this crook is being kicked out of the White House. But the thing is like it's been very dangerous recently because he hasn't conceded, and his from the reports I've been reading, his administration is they're kind of like acting like that how they actually quoted by saying that they're treating it like you see the crazy guy in the subway station, in the subway train, where he's just spewing loads of bits and pieces, and you're just ignoring him, pretending you're not listening to him, and just looking straight forward, and then just getting off whenever you can, or just pretend. But in this case, they're just going along with it, and even Don Jr. and Eric Trump. They're just going along with it. They're just still saying, we need to keep up the fight, the good fight. And I'm like, guys, you lost. Like, just accept it. Like, there's no.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're gonna get kicked out like on January 20th, and there's no way about it. You just kind of have to face it, man. So yeah, like, and this is a guy who cannot accept being a loser because he's all well and good that he can call other people losers. I mean, if he can call a bunch of dead soldiers a bunch of suckers and losers, then
that's really horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, and the good thing is that obviously we did when we started this podcast, we were going to talk about what Trump said. Now, you know what? I'm actually relieved that we don't have to talk about that that orangutan like
exactly
prick like anymore. And I mean, granted, we're probably going to hear like bits and pieces after he leaves, or
he won't be gone. He won't be gone for very long. He'll be back in the scene.
Yeah, but I think after he leaves, like his reputation is just going to be less than it was beforehand. I think.
A big hard look at what he's doing.
Oh yeah, like I think people are going to probably just turn this back at like once he's out and he's going to go around saying, "Well, I was the ex-president of the United States." I think people are just going to go, "Okay, whatever." And I like to hope so. Like I like to.
Honestly, I find it funny because, like, in a way, literally, like the one way I could sum up Trump is, "Ha!" This is just a single laugh. And if that's his legacy, then you're fucking clapped, mate. Wait.
Yeah, I know. I wonder what's going to happen.
A firework go off out of my window. Then when I went Ray like that, I don't know if you heard that.
Maybe that was saying something, but
yeah, it's like, hey, Trump's out.
Yeah. But man, like, so yeah. I mean, so
Trump is gone.
The trouble is that obviously he's still president until January 20th.
Yeah. The funny thing is though, any executive orders he decides to bring in, Joe Biden could literally like go nah and just send them on their way.
Well, this is the thing. Like he's fired one of his Trump staff, and he's hired another person, which is really bizarre because it's like, well, you're only going to be there for about 2 months, and then you're going to be gone.
Like,
So
is she going to try and carry the legacy better?
yeah, I don't know. And then obviously he's apparently got some Trump loyalists in the Pentagon, which has actually made a lot of people worried. So this is what I mean. Like it's very dangerous right now because he's gone paranoid. Like right now, he's gone like full on. I guess like unhinged like Trump mode. Basically, that he's hiring people in despite the fact they're only going to be out of a job after 2 months and and it's making Joe Biden's team a lot harder because they're supposed to get all the access from the White House now to make sure their transition to the
Exactly.
White House is to make it easier. And apparently, there's world leaders congratulating him, but he can't reach them, so they have to reach Obama to then pass it to Biden.
Oh
So
God.
the whole thing is just becoming a complete shit show, and it's just man, like Trump is just not making it easy. And you know what, I seriously think I think even Trump said like you're gonna have to drag me out kicking and screaming, and you know what, I'll pour a glass of whiskey and just be like, okay, good, I'll enjoy watching it.
Yeah, that's
uh,
it. Be ready for it.
Oh, yeah, and that you know what, I can't wait till the day that he actually leaves, and if there's footage of him being dragged out and everything. Um,
Yeah, well, that's that for you. And say,
yeah. So
in a nutshell, they have
we
finally got rid of.
unfortunately we still got a bit of time to have to deal with his BS, but at least there's something to look forward to until then.
Definitely. So as I moving in swiftly on and say we've had the latest news, of course, in the last few days. Something that really obviously shook the stock exchange as well, because obviously
Yes.
globally it's something that we very much need. Despite what people think on both sides of the equation, with the argument going, I think
Yeah.
it's a thing that we need to get past the tide right now. We need to turn the tide, and we can't just turn the tide by testing and tracing constantly. It's the
Yeah.
vaccine, of course. I think the company's called, is it Pfizer? Pfizer. They're the ones who are working with another company that's been working on the vaccine for the last, what, 7, 8, 9 months, right?
I
So,
think so. I haven't really heard. I think I just saw like the article like
oh
titles and
yeah, yeah,
everything.
we've seen the
So
statement, like 90% proven, and it's funny because the flu jab has only been proven for about what 40 to 60% to work.
I think
So, I
so.
mean, I was speaking to my friend earlier, and he was saying he thinks that the samples of test results is still too small. I mean, 40,000 is quite a lot over 6 countries, I still think, but he says 6 countries ain't that much compared to the whole world. Like, there's how many countries in the world? Like 200 odd countries in the world that take part in the Olympics. You
Right.
know, so we're very not we're that's the problem with being such a big diverse planet, that we've got so many people to vaccinate, and you just think that places like Brazil, who are really, really struggling right now to
Yeah. That I think
get the
they're
virus
not
under
even.
grips.
Yeah. Well, they're not even. Apparently, they're not even. Social distancing and implementing masks and everything. And
Well, that's the crazy bit. Like, if you turn the spectrum around, places like Italy right now, surprisingly, Italy, you cannot leave your house unless you have a specific job that allows you to leave the house, and only 2 people from that household can go to their job. The rest has to stay in, and you can't go anywhere other than shops. That's it. Nothing
right.
else. So I mean, you can go out for exercise, but you can't like go out and do loads of crazy things. To be fair, our lockdown is
It's pretty
seems more like a
similar.
ballpark,
Yeah.
really, in a way, because
Yeah.
we can still go and click and collect from shops. Like, you can't even do that in
Yeah.
Italy. So yeah, I
No.
mean, that's just a definite kick in the balls for you. But hey, yeah, we've already done enough moaning and groaning about COVID for one day, I think. And of course, the very final news of the day, of course, is it's pretty much hindsight. It must have been written in the stars. We heard the news early in the week that Dominic Cummings was looking to be leaving by Christmas, and guess what? What's happened, Owen?
He's finally got kicked out of the bucket. Like he's been finally kicked out. Like
His coming has come.
yeah, he got it coming.
His reckoning of coming. The reckoning of coming.
Yeah. But yes,
Come and get some.
oh my god, yeah. But anyways, yeah, Dominic Cummings is finally being. He was supposed to be leaving after Christmas, and they actually instead finally made
At least
his
that's what BBC News said,
immediate
right?
effect. Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Speaking of being immediate effect,
Moving swiftly on.
let's talk about the late Sir Sean Connery, who died recently on Halloween.
Hang on. Hold the phone in a second.
Wait, hey, whoa! Did I just dump something?
So, two things. I want to quickly enact a quick break because our episode's gonna try and be down the middle around 40 to 50 minutes. Second thing, did you say Conway? Not Conway, not Connery even.
I said Conway. I probably
you sound like you was like Conway.
I probably pronounced my R's like a little bit strange.
Professor One Way.
I'm like Jonathan Ross.
Jonathan Ross. Yeah. So of course, like I say, we are very quickly going to take a break, just to kind of cut up the episode a bit. But yeah, stay tuned. After the break, we'll be talking obviously about Sean Connery, and then of course we're going to dive into a few other things that we want to talk about. But yeah, you can look forward to that when we get to it.
Cool.
See you shortly.
See you later. Hello and welcome back to this episode of What Topic. So yeah, we previously talked about Trump losing to Joe Biden being the next president, and obviously very quickly and briefly talked about the situation with Dominic Cummings. So yeah, we're now going to be talking about the life and career of Sean Connery. So yeah, so unfortunately he passed away at the age of 90 last month on Halloween, no less. So yeah, I think we all can agree on that. Probably the first exposure to Connery was when he was James Bond, starting from Dr. No all the way to Diamonds Are Forever, or unless you count the unofficial Bond film Never Say Never Again, which not a lot of people do.
No, definitely. Oh, it's funny. It's funny you say. We was just talking about Cummings before the break. There's a photo of him that's just come up on the internet of him literally holding a box, being basically let out the door. Oh, sorry. I obviously I'm disgracing Sean Connery's name as we're talking about him here, and I'm butting in. So I do apologise, Sean, if you can hear me anyway. He probably doesn't know who Dominic Cummings is anyway. Probably doesn't care. But yeah, let's continue about Sean Connery. Sorry.
So yeah, like I said, I think we all can agree that my first exposure of him was when he was in starting from Dr. No, because how I watched James Bond was starting from Dr. No onwards, because even though I grew up with Pierce Brosnan as James Bond, I actually did start with with starting with the classics, then to George Lazenby, Roger Moore, etc. So and so because when you talk about James Bond, you always often get a lot of people just saying that Sean Connery is just simply the best out of the lot.
Yeah, as that song goes, you're simply the best.
Yeah, no, or just go, nobody does it better. So
that's it, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's and then probably soon after that, it was probably when he was playing Indiana Jones's father in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah. I always forget it was him, because it's such a departure from James Bond, isn't it? The difference of his character.
Yeah, I mean, he goes from like a very confident, sort of suave secret agent to sort of a bumbling sort of historian, which is
it's weird because it's him, but like the glasses really and the hairstyle and obviously the bucket hat make him look so different.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is that he's ever since from Dr. No onwards, he's been wearing a toupee. So
yeah.
So it's just, for those people who, they like, look at his hair, and it's like, it's fake, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, and then when you talk about the James Bond films, like the one we always talk about is, to a lot of people, is Goldfinger. Like, with the Shirley Bassey song, the villains' names like Goldfinger, Odd Job, and then the Bond girl names like Pussy Galore, which that's another unfortunate thing. Like the actress who played Pussy
Oh
Galore.
yeah, she died
She
earlier in the
died
year, right?
earlier the year. Yeah. What's her name? Honor Blackman. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a bit.
What's her name, right?
Yeah. But yeah, it's really hard for me because ever since I remember reading a review, I think it was either reading or watched a review. It's basically the Bond film that is careless. Like it gets a lot of people killed, and I can't unsee that. So everyone
Yes.
calls it like the classic Bond, which it is. Like you obviously you got the Aston Martin DB5, the classic gadgets, and
He really
everything
did
else.
cement the legacy for Bond. He is as many people he's known as Bond.
Yeah, I mean, it was his Bond was the one who kind of formulated that formula. With the Bond villains, the Bond girls, the gadgets, and it's basically every. I mean, obviously over time, with each actor
Mm.
playing Bond, like they brought in their own spin, but there's always that
Oh yeah, yeah.
that trope, I suppose you could say, that you have to have you can't have a Bond film without a Bond villain and Bond girls and the Aston
Oh
Martin,
gosh, yeah.
whether it's the classic DB5 or a new model, etc. It's just you can't make anything without any of the classic formulas that makes it like distinguishable from any other.
It's like sugar and spice, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, like I mean, it's just
And if you look at it like this, he's done so many recognizable James Bond movies. Like, obviously, we know Roger Moore has done the most, but Sean Connery definitely did quite a lot.
yeah.
So there's no denying that there. Like, he's done Doctor No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live
Well, the
Twice.
thing I think Connery has done more memorable Bond films. In this is my opinion,
Yes,
than Roger Moore.
I think that's
I
right.
think Roger Moore for me, like I mean, Live and Let Die was alright. It was a good start, but nothing that great.
Mm.
And to be fair, like this, it's the same with Doctor No. I think Doctor No is fine. It's just I don't think it like my favorite of Connery's is actually From Russia with Love. Like I just love
Yeah, From Russia with
I
Love.
love
Yeah.
Robert Shaw as the villain, and obviously you got Goldfinger. I think Thunderball is okay, but it can be a little bit like just watching a bunch of people fighting underwater is a bit, like, there's only so much you can do about that. And
Yeah.
there's a lot.
To be honest, I'm with you on that. I mean, like, if when I think of some of my favorite Bond movies, not a lot of people like Moonraker, but I actually quite like Moonraker. I think Moonraker is one of my favorites of all the different
Oh,
Bond
you know
films out
what? It
there.
took me a long while to actually get round to watching it because I just heard that it's just one of the worst Bond films out there.
Well, the thing is, it's still got Jaws, and it's nice because Jaws goes out in a nice way, doesn't it?
It's really cheesy though. Like I was just like, oh,
Hey,
okay.
hey, cheesy or not, cheesy or not, you've got to hand it to them to do a nice little cute ending
I
for
get
them, like Space Girl and Big Teeth Man,
well, it's
get
just
to have a nice moment with
it's so
themselves.
like what the hell were they thinking? Like, pairing him with a girl that's wearing glasses and pick not saying I'm got anything wrong with that, but it's just so like what made you think like, what? Jaws needs a girl with pigtails and glasses and
Well, it's probably very depictive of the times as well.
I don't know, but then again, that they were gonna. It's funny when you watch the one before. I think it was the Spy Who Loved Me. They said at the end they were gonna make.
Yeah, the spy who loved
They were
me.
gonna make For Your Eyes Only, but then they saw the craze
Mm,
of Star Wars, so they were like jumping on that to get on board with
mm.
it. And funny enough, I think that either got nominated or won the Best Visual Effects Oscar for the
Wow.
movie. I think it got nominated because I don't know, like I can't imagine like anything that could be better than that. But anyways, yeah. So going back to Conway, outside of James Bond, which is really hard to, I guess it's really hard to kind of think about him outside of Bond, but he's done quite a lot like since then. Um,
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
obviously,
yeah. He's been in so many different
oh yeah,
things.
and I mean, one of the few that I used to remember was when he was in The Hunt for Red October. Um,
Yes.
Even though
Yeah, I
it's
watched that.
so
Yeah.
hilarious, like he's speaking in Russian in parts, but he's still got that Scottish. I think that was the thing that we all kind of made fun of him. Like, it doesn't matter what who he was playing, like he still had this Scottish accent, like whether he was supposed to be an American or Irish
Yeah.
or even the worst thing that is just hilarious, like when he was played as Ramirez in Highlander, he's a oh, Jesus. Okay, so he's he says he's a Spaniard, but he's Egyptian, but still got the he's still got the Scottish accent. You're like, dude, come on, like you can't do that to us. um, uh,
He's in a lot of other movies that are quite good as well. He was in Dragonheart in '96. He was in one of the Murder on the Orient Express movies,
yeah, the one of
1974.
the earlier like yeah, he was in the one of the earlier like adaptations of the Murder on the Orient Express that had Albert Finney as Poirot.
Mm.
So yeah,
And then you've got one of his decent. Well, I think he's one of these ones that probably goes a little amiss sometimes, but at the same time, is it's one of the last movies he pretty much did, I think, before he basically hung his coat up in acting, because obviously he's not acted for many years. Is the movie Finding Forrester, sorry, not
actually,
Foster.
his last film was well. That was indeed one of his last films before he decided to hang it
One of
up.
the last ones that
But
like
the one
people
that
remember
that
him.
really kind of I think that made him go, you know what, I'm going to retire. Was the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen as Alan Quatermain.
Yes.
That movie was awful. that because the thing is like, and it's the funny thing about him was that he got offered to play Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings and to play was it the architect in The Matrix, but he turned them down because he didn't understand it. And when he got the script for The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, he didn't understand it, but because he saw the success from those two franchises, he thought, okay, I'll I'll join up that I'll join up uh I'll take the project, and that obviously became a critical and financial flop. And I think that was kind of like the further like saying, you know what, okay, that now's my time to quit. You know, um,
Yeah.
although he did do a few bits and pieces. Like he did do the voice of James Bond in the From Russia with Love video game in 2005. Which is
Yeah,
really
yeah.
odd because obviously we all know like what his voice was like when he was in his 30s compared to what he was like in his 70s, I think, at the time. I think. Um,
Mm.
but the thing is actually his very last movie was doing a voice for for like an animated movie called Sir Billy in 2012. Oh my god, it's really awful. Like if like I can even send you the clip because the podcast another podcast series called Double Toasted just did a review on it, and my god, like it truly is something to watch because it's oh, you just have to watch it. You have to just watch the trailer for it, and you just go, wow, okay, that's what Sean Connery decided to end his legacy, his acting career on. Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. I honestly, it's interesting, really, because like I've just gone back through his. I'll say while you was just talking, I was just going back through a lot of his old archive of movies, and there are loads of movies that you recognise, but then there are loads of movies that you've never heard of. Like he's had quite a diverse role of different movies. Like he's like not everyone knew. I mean, I didn't even know he was in Indiana Jones until like maybe like what 10 years ago. Like I didn't actually like it didn't click to me that it was him because he was in such a different role. It was like he was a
You couldn't
completely
really
different
connect the
person
dots.
and an actor. No, the dots weren't connectable. It's like what we were saying a few episodes ago about like movies that you have appreciation for like the more you watch them later on in life. Like you kind of just like you notice the details more. Like it's like saying like some TV shows, like like cartoons, for example, have some really vulgar and depicting adult things that kids don't see until they watch it when they're old,
Right,
and they're like, "Whoa, was that really
right.
in the show?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's obviously not on the same lines as like stuff that like with Sean Connery, but like it's an example to be kind of mentioned because the appreciation of different castings of different roles for people like Sean Connery, and like they come and go in different acting roles. Like even Pierce Brosnan, like he's dipped in and out of different roles for many years. Like there was a movie that not a lot of people have appreciation for, but I quite liked. I mean, I watched it in a geography class when I was a kid, when I was I think what in high school, and it was called Dante's Peak. I don't know if
Oh
you've
yeah,
ever heard of
I
it.
remember watching it when it came out at the time, and I thought
Yeah, it came out in the early to late '90s, right?
Mid to late 90s, yeah, roughly about. I mean, it was came out
Yeah,
the same year as Volcano because obviously there was a time where a lot of studios were competing natural disaster
yeah.
movies, and yeah, so the two of them were going like head to head. Um,
A lot of people say a lot of people say that Dante's Peak is a very weak film, but I actually like the way the way the events unfold, and like you genuinely do feel like some genuine like kind of like aspiration for the characters. Like you are very like just the like I mean obviously if you've not watched it now like not my fault for spoiling it. I'm sorry, but I mean, there's a scene like where the grandma literally like jumps into the water
yeah,
like to try
because
and
the
get
lake
out
had
of the
just turned
boat.
to like was it like acid and yeah, that's right.
Acid.
Yeah.
So it's all the acid chemicals and nasty things from the volcano that's
Mm,
leaked into the river.
yeah, I remember watching that when I was young.
So, I mean,
Yeah, I
that's quite
remember
a
watching
striking
that. I was
scene.
like, oh Jesus, like yeah. I mean, you watch it. Yeah, I
Hard
remember.
hitting.
Yeah, I'm watching it now, and it's all right. It's a bit boring, quite honestly. I'm a
To be honest, it. I think it balances a decent bit of natural knowledge with a bit of intrigue and a bit of drama, and then a
yeah,
nice ending,
and I
like a
totally forgot.
decent
Like,
ending.
oh my God, like Linda Hamilton is in the movie as well. Like from
Yeah,
Terminator. Yeah,
yeah.
from
That's
Terminator.
like the earliest
Yeah.
times. One of the earliest times that like we get to meet her in a different role. I think this was one of her very first like big movies back in the early days.
Her
If I
first role
remember
was
right.
actually Sarah Connor in the Terminator in 1984. So she's already
Oh yeah, of
established
course,
already
yeah.
then, and obviously
Oh okay, okay.
and then
Maybe I'm getting confused with someone else.
and then she came back as Sarah Connor in Terminator 2 a few years prior to Dante's Peak.
Oh yeah,
So she has done,
yeah.
and then she
Yeah.
did that Beauty and the Beast like TV miniseries with Ron Perlman. So she's done a few bits and pieces, but yeah. So
Yeah, I think I was
oh,
confusing her
okay,
with someone else.
but we can't even we can't. But speaking about Conway, we can't forget about Zardoz and his amazing outfit, which I've just sent you over, which is
Oh, here we
it's
go. Let's
if
have
you've
a look.
not
Oh my god, yeah.
like
that is
if I
that
was
is an
gonna say like if you
outfit.
don't know what Zardoz is, the film, you've definitely seen Conway in that amazing outfit. It's
Oh
I remember
yeah.
watching it going, what the hell is that? And then I looked it up and I went, oh, it's that film. Okay. Um, it's
Some
got
real
quite a cult
madness, right?
following, so I've still yet to watch it, and I need to find out. Actually, let me find out if it is available on like Prime or anything that is. Oh, no, it isn't. Oh well, I'll try find it because I keep seeing the outfit and I'm like, I just need to bloody watch it because, like I said, like it's got quite a following, and I need to be up to date with it. So yeah, no, I've you always talk about Conway and you go like, well, what about this one? And they're like, oh yeah, I remember that. So um, yeah, and obviously, then we can't even forget about his Oscar-winning performance in The Untouchables with Kevin Costner and it's not
Yes.
Adam Garcia, it's Andy Garcia. That's it. I was like thinking Adam.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah,
Pretty mad
no,
one
it's
there.
I mean, it's all right. I mean, it's supposed to be this. It's supposed to be this Irish sort of immigrant that's in Chicago, and I can maybe see why he probably won it, but at the same time, I just think like compared to
Mm.
everything else he's played, it's like I don't see it.
Day and night.
I don't see it as being his best. To be honest, I can't really think about what his best performance is. Like I think you know what
Mm.
I think it is from The Hunt for Red October is probably my favorite performance from his. I don't know. There's just something about the
Mm.
character he plays. Like it just he kind of just elevates it.
The worst part about it is I've not actually I've known about this movie for years and I've seen stuff from it, but I've never actually
Yeah.
properly watched it.
Well, there's so
That's the
many
worst
Jack
part.
Ryan sort of adaptations. So that I mean, Alec Baldwin played Jack Ryan in that film.
Oh God, Alec Baldwin,
Yeah,
man, he's such an actor. Gee.
and then after that, then Harrison Ford did two films with Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger.
Mm.
Then Ben Affleck played him in oh my God, the Sum of All Fears. That's it. And then Chris Pine played him
Mm.
in Jack Ryan, and then now John Krasinski is played him in the new TV series called Jack Ryan. So it's just
Oh yeah, I've been
but
meaning to watch
yeah,
that.
so if you get a chance, like definitely check out like from the Hunt for Red October. Um,
Is it on
um,
streaming at the minute, or is
I
it
don't
only
know. I
expired?
mean, let me check. Like,
It's not. It's quite interesting, really, because like with a lot of these British actors, they're in big movies that don't
no,
end up on
it's really
streaming.
frustrating because you
And that's
want to
quite.
recommend these sort of films because if you got a thing of
I mean, definitely shed some money out if
oh
you
yeah,
feel
like I mean,
compelled, obviously.
The Hunt
Like,
for Red
but
October,
yeah,
like if you're really into sort of like sort of it's not really an action. They say it's an action thriller, but it's not really. It's more of a it's like a thriller that deals with intellect because it's a whole to deal with America
mm.
and Russia, and it's got a great cast. Like you also got Scott Glenn, Sam Neill, James L. Jones, Tim Curry, Stellan Skarsgård, Courtney B. Vance. Like that's just it's just such a great cast. So yeah, definitely check it out if you're into Tom Clancy and any of the Jack Ryan films or TV series that you've seen.
Oh,
Um,
hell yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I think it's crazy. So a guy who used to live in Scotland and went to become one of the biggest actors of many generations and inspire many others. So
Oh gosh, yeah, he's left a very sizable mark on the industry, and of course a very sizable
yeah,
mark
and
on our
it's
hearts. He's definitely never going to be forgotten. I bet, like I've seen some of the nice photos on the internet, like where they've showed him and oh god, I had a, I had a mind blank for a second there.
Roger Moore, yes.
Roger Moore, both of them like yeah, both of them in like white shirts
Yeah,
in like
I think I did
clouds, like up
see.
in the sky, like saying, "Oh, they're
Yeah,
looking
and
down on us
it's just
now."
crazy, like because there was a moment where there was a picture. I think somebody did it was actually if it was I don't know if it was an actual photo shoot or they did it really well with photoshopping all the actors what they look like now
Mm.
and like Sean Connery, Roger Moore, George Lazenby, Timothy Dalton,
Oh
Pierce Brosnan,
wow, yeah, yeah.
and then Daniel Craig.
Sounds like
On
a Doctor, like that Doctor Who photo where they got all of the doctors together.
Yeah, well, it kind of felt like that, and yeah, and it was
Mad,
just
isn't it?
crazy, like seeing the photos of like what Sean Connery because obviously he's been out of the spotlight for a while, and then just seeing him what he looked like, it was just crazy. I'm like, wow, he's still going, and then
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Honestly, he became such a white haired bearded guy, didn't he? In the end, I mean, like Roger Moore went very white as well. Like, and also, I mean, Pierce Brosnan right now, bloody hell, have you seen him?
oh
His
yeah,
beard.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm not sure about that beast, mate.
yeah, I know,
Ooh.
right? But yeah, so it's crazy. We've got Lazenby, Dalton, Brosnan, and Craig left. So
Yeah,
yeah,
somber moments. But hey, he will never be forgotten. The same with Roger Moore, of course. Their legacies will be continued on. Obviously, we weren't doing the podcast when Roger Moore passed last year, so I mean, we can't really speak too much, about
there's been enough
obviously
said
in
about
the current
Roger Moore.
memory.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah,
sure.
not that he doesn't deserve an extra bit of
No,
limelight.
of
It's always
course
nice
not.
to throw a mention to him, of course. But of course, it's a somber moment still, very much.
Well,
But yeah, I'd say
yeah, I mean, for me at least, it is tragic that he's now passed. But to be honest, like, with he's gone, he died at the age of 90. Like, I mean, he retired, he became James Bond, he was married, like, and he got to a really old age. Like, he lived a really long life. So,
yeah.
like I said, as much as it is tragic, like I just think about these people that live on to that age. Is I just say, well, good on you. Like you lived
Mm.
further along because you always hear these people
And
that
he
die at the age of like
he had a
60 or
better
something, and it just seems like too
he
young.
had a better way of going as well. Like there's times when you can be in pain for a very long time before you're finally taken. Like obviously sounding quite cruel that is, but he died in his sleep with his family around him,
Mm.
which in my mind is a very nice way to go.
Which is unfortunate with Roger Moore. Like he died of cancer, which is so that's even more
Yeah.
sad. But yeah,
That's the worst part. All the big actors get taken by like, testicular cancer or, bowel cancer or, even just general cancer,
mm, yeah,
overall. So, but yeah, I'd say not to end on a somber note, but of course, rest in peace, Sean Connery, wherever you are, mate. I'm sure you and Roger are both having a drink up there somewhere in heaven on our behalf.
Yeah, have a martini on us. So yeah.
That's it. Shaken, not stirred, of course.
Exactly.
And definitely not having a Heineken. Do not have a Heineken.
What's wrong with a Heineken? Like, are you?
Oh no, Heinekens are lovely.
Are you siding with Piers Morgan that is saying like, what's wrong with alcohol-free Heineken? Oh, for God's sake, really?
No, alcohol, no. I mean, alcohol-free cider's nice, but no, Heineken has to be the full deal. It has to be the full deal. If you're gonna have anything that's like, you know, alcohol-free, stick to cider, because I've tried a Beck's and it smells like weed. It does.
Really?
It makes you want to be sick.
All right.
That's the weird bit. I don't know whether it's just the way that it's brewed, but like it's brewed to the point where it literally has such a stench, and I don't like the smell of weed. Just being clear.
No,
and that's
even
the one. Ooh.
But I don't. Yeah, I never really associate Beck's with weed. But all right, okay.
I think it's just like a smell profile.
Maybe it's just the way it's been brewed. Like it's a bit different. I don't know.
That's it, yeah.
Maybe
the hops really do contribute a lot of distinct notes. One would say. So.
Is that what you've been drinking like throughout lockdown?
No. Yes, moving swiftly on. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us for this episode today. And say, I think this is a nice, you know, episode to just not go too crazy on. We've had a nice laugh and a joke. We've, you know, talked about Sean Connery. We talked about, you know, some, you know, roller coaster of emotions over the last few weeks. You know, Biden getting in, Trump having a paddy, Dominic Cummings out the door tonight. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, when I say tonight, it's the 13th of November. Surprisingly, unlucky for some, as they say. But today's been a very lucky day for me. So I'm not saying more than that because I'll probably end up in my own words.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're not sure what's going to happen in the next week or two, but I might actually do a bit of a review because there is a certain Netflix film that's coming out in December that I'm really looking forward to. So be sure to check that out, what that film is. Some of you may know, but all I was going to say, it will be released on the 4th of December on Netflix. Ooh. So yeah, be sure to check out that.
And I believe that's a Thursday or Friday, right?
I can't remember. Maybe a Friday, maybe a Thursday.
Because I think we get out of lockdown on the 3rd, which I think is a Tuesday.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
4th, 5th. So that might make it a Thursday or a Friday. But then again, Netflix don't have like
set release. Yeah.
They come out. They bring out things on Fridays, Mondays, you know, Thursdays. But yeah, I'd say we'll be definitely going back into some more movies. Of course, this podcast is very movie and film, you know, entertainment orientated, as you probably all guessed now. It's just something that we're very passionate about. And of course, the beauty of having a podcast that is very wide topic-wise, we can kind of like, you know, lean into different things.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate your support, of course. You know, a lot of our friends have like listened in and listened. We definitely don't have the largest base of listeners at the minute. Nothing like my other podcast. And you know what? I don't really care for the numbers. I care for the fact that we both had such a good time recording. Right?
Well, it just gives us something to do during lockdown, especially that there's only so much that we can do at the moment.
Oh yeah, it's a much more fulfilling and better thing to do. For our own mental health. I mean, to be honest, I was supposed to be going out riding every week with my friend. We were cycling our bikes for like literally all of the summer, and then we stopped.
Right.
So I mean, like this has been a longer streak making this podcast than it has been me going out and doing cycling.
Yeah.
For many months.
Well, we definitely got more people interested, you know, to be guests on the episode. So I think it's doing something. I think.
Oh, definitely. And yeah, on that note, we thank you very much for listening again. I've been Josh Deacon at Mr. Josh Deacon on social media.
And I'm Burkett at Owen.Burkett. So you can find me on Instagram and maybe on Twitter, but I don't use that much. So Instagram's probably the best bet.
Maybe not.
So yeah.
Yeah. Take care of yourselves, guys, and hopefully we either see you next week or the week after. You never know.
All right. Stay safe and take care, everybody.
And make sure you wear a mask.
Yes, wear a mask.
Bye-bye, guys.